Hello and welcome to episode 61 of Gamers of a Lost Mark podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Chesson, and joining me, it's a man who's completing his hat-trick of consecutive pods. It's the man whose Twitter feed is full of bake-off, bunnies and beards. It's Mr. James Thomas.
Hello. Yes, the bunnies don't have beards, I should stress. The beards are separate to the bunnies. I'm sure my wife showed me, though, a while ago, there was a series of Twitter memes that went round of people holding up their cats as beards. So maybe that's an avenue I should explore. Can I hold up Herschel the rabbit and pretend he's an extra large fluffy beard?
He is the fluffiest of bunnies, isn't he?
The thing is, he doesn't photograph very well because he's black. And he's
right.
So fluffy, I swear light just gets lost in his coat. So nothing ever comes back out to the camera.
That's just so cool. So does he hide? Is he stealthy because he's all black?
He's
he kind of...
You're like, you turn around, just there.
He's just there waiting for a carrot. Superb. So how's your week been?
It's been good. I was trying to think before what we were doing at the weekend, but it's quite a relaxed one this weekend. A bit of odd jobs around the house, but we did get down to go down south and see our new nephew. So Ali's brother and his wife had a kid about 8 weeks ago.
Right.
So we've tried to go down every few weeks just to keep up with how he's growing, and he's just adorable. He's at the stage where he knows you're there now. He actually has that sort of self-awareness, so he'll lock eyes with you and stare at you, and he's found his fists this week. So he was just there, just like tiny bald fists, trying to eat them and then just waving them manically around. So yeah, it's really cute. It's really cute. I don't mind babies, especially when you can hand them back at the end of the day. But,
yes,
yeah, it was a good weekend going down to visit.
Oh, that's just fantastic. No, it is good. When they're kind of crying and they're a bit smelly, you can just kind of hand them back. There you go, all yours. We're off now.
Well, one of my friends was send me one of the ways they deal with their small child though is to pretend they're in a big mech. Because suppose babies, if you joggle them around or make noises or distract them.
Yes.
He's found the perfect combination is pretending he's in a mech from Mech Warrior or any big robot game, and then just clunking around the room and just making big jerky movements. It's brilliant to watch because you pretend he's like a tiny Sigourney Weaver in Alien or something like that. But yeah, it's funny to watch.
That's so cool. That's absolutely superb.
How was your week since we last met?
Yes, not too bad. At the weekend, quite a boozy one. A friend of mine turned 50, so we went to his garden party, and he was very modest because he was like, we're just having a few friends over, a bit of a DJ. Turned out there was a full band playing kind of some really good music. So even though it was raining, we were under a tent, under a kind of all in, and there was a dance floor, and this was all in his garden, and it was just absolutely superb. I got kind of slightly jolly quite quickly, and started helping out behind the bar, but just danced a lot. So it was really cool. But I did start noticing my age really on Sunday, because Sunday was a real kind of washout day. We did just literally, by the time we got home, because we stayed in a Premier Inn, so we woke up and had a breakfast there. There was a whole group of us, and then we slowly drove back to Tonwell's, and then we just spent the rest of the day on the sofa, and even ordered a takeaway in on a Sunday, which is something we never do. And so we had a takeaway in on a Sunday, and I think we watched Captain America: Civil War on iTunes, and it was just fantastic. So it was nice just to kind of see it, play some games, which I'll get to in a moment, but it was quite good. But I did notice that if it starts taking a day getting over a really bad hangover, I must be getting old.
Oh, it comes to us all. It
does indeed. So, talking of games and kind of those relaxing weekends, what have you been playing this week?
Well, we finished off Overcooked.
Well done.
After talking last week on the pod, literally we came away from recording and went straight downstairs and finished off Overcooked. So we finally managed to beat the last level. I think it was about our 6th attempt, but it was one of those endurance levels,
yes.
Isn't it, the last one? So you're trying to have to feed the big monster that's destroying the world, and have to keep, I think it's about 10-15 minutes, isn't it? You just keep having to send order after order after order, and the kitchen keeps changing shape, much to your annoyance.
And it keeps catching on fire as well in that level.
Oh my god, yes.
I think we had to restart it at one point because our entire kitchen was just in flames, and we're like, no, I don't think we're going to recover from this one.
Yep. So So on the last level, there's like a chasm in the middle, isn't there?
Yes.
And there's a helicopter that comes down. At one point in time, when the helicopter had disappeared, Ali and I were both on one side, and it was the other side that was catching fire. And we just stood there, and we should have restarted straight away, but we just watched it burn for a bit and just let the despair sink in, going, right, let this be a lesson. We must stay on separate sides.
So what did you do wrong, James?
Yes. What have we learned?
But no, absolutely. I mean, I love that last level. It was very good. I think we had to try it quite a few times, but we kind of got to the point where we knew if we weren't at maybe the pizza stage by 7 minutes to go, that we were going to struggle. So we had a couple of mid-level restarts, so we kind of did it. But I just so when you finished it, did you get 3 stars? Did you do it the Nicola way? Which is the 3 stars.
We went back and did 3 stars.
Wow, well done.
Ali's rule was you can get 2 stars, try one more time, and then we move on. So we went back and mopped it all up. But it was the kitchen with the rats that I think we had. I think that was the last one that we did, because there's one level with rats that come in and they take away any food that had been sat on the side.
Yes.
For any length of time. And usually you can just stack up the ingredients by the chopping board or the pots, just like, right, it's all ready, you come get the pot. But yeah, these rats just meant that you just have to really be patient and are slightly more methodical about it. Yeah, it was one of the highest scores required in the entire game, I swear. But yeah, I know a few people that the rats were the downfall of.
Absolutely, that was quite a shock. I think the first time that happened, when the rats just kind of came in, stole your produce, so they were like, hold up, and I thought that was going to get worse throughout the game. I thought maybe penguins would start stealing when you went to the Arctic level, but luckily they kind of just kept it to that one. But it's but that's really good going to get 3 stars. I must admit, I like Mrs. Thomas's 2 stars, and then you can move on. That kind of works for me. I'm very much a 2-star person.
Oh, I made sure we can go back. Although, equally, we did have that problem where I've got all the achievements and Ali doesn't.
Right.
So I think we're going to give it a month or so and then maybe go back through on her account to make sure she's got the achievements.
Oh, that's fantastic. So they haven't patched it yet then, I take it. So that's...
No, and I think just because of the way it works, it almost needs a dual save game that would be a bit more labour intensive. So from the developer side, I can see why they've done it, but yeah, from a user point of view, it's tiny bit irksome.
Yes, absolutely. Because you get to the end of that, you defeat that big meatball monster, and then only one. You go, okay, there's Nicholas. It's red. That's fine. Where's the green one? Where's the green? That was kind of. I was like, where's the green one? And I was like, it didn't pop. And I was just so I was very upset. But like I said last week, kind of Nicola went through and replayed it for me, so that was really good.
That's dedication. As I tried it single player. I don't think I'd have been able to stick out the entire game with it all, because it just lost some of the charm.
Yes,
I thought.
Yes, absolutely. I think it definitely is something that I haven't played it with more than 2. Actually, no, I haven't played it with more than 2. I only played it with kind of 2 people. But I'd like to see what it's like at 4. I reckon it's chaos, but fun chaos at 4.
There's a few people at work tried it with 4 players the other day, and supposedly it was just nuts. You just couldn't hear. You could just shouting, screaming, people getting lost, drops and grief. Yeah, don't try it.
If you like those friends, don't try it. It's a game that's amazing and also can destroy relationships.
Yes.
So what else have you been playing this week?
I've been fishing around. I think after I finished Overcooked, I was actually searching for something to sink my teeth into, because the next thing on the horizon really is Recore.
Right.
So I was just looking something to tread water, effectively. And I decided to have a look what was on the App Store on Android anyway, and I saw that Lumines had been released for mobile platforms. I don't know if you remember Lumines. It's basically, I associate it with the PSP and the Vita.
Yes.
It's that music game where you have to drop coloured blocks and then try and get 4 of the same colour in a little square, and then it sort of wipes and it's in time to the music, and it's all quite techno. It reminds me very much of what Sony was in the early days, with Wipeout. It's Wipeout the puzzle game in my mind. And I really liked it. I really liked it on the Vita, and I really liked it when they did a 360 version. But the mobile one is just leaving me a little cold. And I think it's down to 2 things. So Lumines used to be great because it was a widescreen game. Like you look at what Tetris and Dr. Mario and all those is, it's a very much a portrait version. But because it was on the PSP, because it was on the 360, it used the width really well. So you had this nice beat that went across. You had plenty of time to arrange your bricks, and then the beat would come and wipe everything out. The mobile version has lost all of that, and they've turned it into a portrait version. And it just has lost something. It feels like it's more panicky, a bit more claustrophobic. I don't feel like you can make those like the wide sprawling levels to give you the options and the choice that you could do in the other version. So it's changed it significantly. I don't know why they couldn't have just done it turning the phone sideways, but then for me the compounding factor is that it's far more accurate when you can drag the bricks across. Like, I always find that if you on the console, if you're trying to drag the squares across in Tetris and Dr. Mario in Lumines, you can overshoot if you're rushing and it's not as precise. Whereas at least with the touchscreen, you can see that drop shadow, you feel like you've got far more control over it. But the rotation is a tap on the screen, and it just doesn't, it's not always responsive, and that irritates me. Because you're trying to beat the beat, effectively. You need to get those bricks dropped before the next beat to get the combo going. And it just doesn't respond quick enough. There's certain times where it just doesn't take input, and I don't know why. So I've had to walk away from it for the time being, because it's just not what I want it to be. I think if I came at it and it was just a fresh puzzle game without the Lumines name on it, then I'd probably be giving it more slack. But it's a good but not great version of a game I used to really enjoy.
I find that because with Lumines, the kind of, when it swishes over, you have to kind of build your blocks before that line goes back over.
Yes.
I find that in the portrait mode, that's just a lot quicker. And like you say, it doesn't give you the time to really start building up a lot of combos. And I tried it on the iPad and also on the iPhone as well. And you just never have enough time. It is. I think you're right. It becomes very frantic. Instead of just playing it and being very okay, I've got those blocks have formed, I'm going to put a couple more on, keep building it, get that bonus. It feels like the later levels, because the later levels always used to panic me on the PSP, because it really did start getting fast to the point where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I just drop them down whilst hitting some banging beats. But it feels like that right from the start. But it looks fantastic for a mobile game. But yeah, I gave it to Nicola as well, because when I saw it kind of jump on your list, I said, "Oh, Lumines must be out." And she was like, just handed me her iPad and said, "I want it." Put it on there, and so we kind of checked the store, and it was there. But yeah, so you've just kind of left that for a while then.
Yeah, I think it might be something I come back and dabble to.
Right.
But I think the weight of expectations might have beaten it down for me.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, it's made me look on my Xbox One install list, and I think Lumines is now backwards compatible. So I'm more tempted to go back and start playing that on the big screen with the music coming out. Because as much as I like the mobile platform, it's not really one where I sit there with listening to it a lot. Half the time, the first thing I do is turn the music off in those games. So, when you're sat there on the sofa, you're not irritating everyone around you.
Indeed. I played it on the train, and I was listening to the Giant Bomb podcast while I was playing it. It was a very bizarre experience. But I still had the kind of sound effects every now and then, but there was no music.
Yeah. It does lose something. But I did find a different mobile game to take my fancy, because my brother's been he's been a Hearthstone advocate for quite a while now, and I didn't really have a good platform to play it on, because I didn't want to come up to the, I'm in the loft room here recording the podcast, but I didn't want to come up here to play Hearthstone because it felt quite detached.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, Hearthstone's available on Android now I'm in the world where my phone has apps. So I downloaded it, and it's I think I'm going to slowly get myself into it.
Right.
I got my ass handed to me the first couple of times I played online, but my brother's been giving me some coaching tips, like just play offline, unlock a lot of cards, try to put together a deck you like playing with, and then take it from there. I think he's even offered to come and have a bit of a multiplayer with me, so he can tell me what I'm doing wrong at some point. But it's nice because I can put Hearthstone on while Ali's got a hobby of crocheting while we watch telly, so at least I can put Hearthstone on while she's crocheting. We've got something on the telly background, we can have a chat. It's not an intense focus game like so many other ones that you have to play. doesn't divide your whole attention. So yeah, I think I'm going to slowly eke my way into this over the coming weeks.
Oh, that's just fantastic! I must admit, when it first came out, I got quite addicted to it, and I really enjoyed it. And the same as you, I did kind of think, oh, I'm good enough now. I can go online. I can take on. I've got a nice deck. I can really kind of hold my own against the AI. And then I just kind of quickly shut it down because I was like, that person was mean to me, It really did just kind of really kind of wipe the floor with me. But it is such a great game. It's really addictive. And you're right. Matt is very much kind of he's very much kind of into those card-based games, isn't he? He was playing, I think he was playing Fable. Is it Fable, the card game on Twitch? And I was watching him play that, and he was very good. So he's obviously got that kind of card-based mind that he's just there. So that'd be really cool to hear kind of how you're getting on, maybe in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes. See if I'm still sticking with. I think I'm going to stick with Druid.
Right.
Because I just like the idea of like the animals and nature, and it's a D&D character that I tried to roll as well. So let's see if I can stick with that. Double down on just one character, and then see where it goes.
Oh, that's just fantastic. Superb.
Yes. What have you been up to? What have you been playing?
Well, on Sunday night, I believe it was Sunday. I think it was Sunday night. But kind of sobering up. On Sunday night, I jumped into The Division. So there's been some DLC, which was the Underground. So we decided. So the kind of couple of guys that I play with, we all decided that we kind of get together and try and have a look, see what the Underground DLC is like. So we jumped in, had our kind of normal kind of running around the New York, just kind of having a mess around, and then we found where the Underground DLC starts. You'll find there's a bit of a tutorial that you need to go through. So you go through a bit of a tutorial. There's some guys there you need to take out, and you end up getting to a base of operation, which is, as the title gives, in an underground. So and then it took us a while just kind of get kind of to grips with what this is, because what Underground does and kind of what the Division didn't need, it kind of ushers in a new currency or a new leveling system. So you now have Underground credits and Underground level, so you now have another level that you need to kind of work with. So what you basically do is you can choose whether you want to have, it's a bit like Horde, because you can choose whether you want to have a 15-minute game, which is just one phase, a 30-minute game, which is 2 phases, or a 45-minute and beyond game, which is three phases. And then once you've done that, there's also some unlocks that you can do, such as you can turn your radio off, or the AI are more powerful, or your weapons, when you reload, if you had anything in your clip, it disappears. It's a bit like Halo Skulls.
So just tweaking the difficulty setting as you see fit.
Absolutely. So you could then for each of these phases, you also have a difficulty level of normal, medium, and hard. So we just did a normal. We jumped into the first one phase, and it was great fun. It was quite nice to be back in the Division. So we were back in there. We were just kind of playing through. We went through this one level, which is all in underground. At one point there was this underground club, and there was neon graffiti and real kind of banging beats, and that was really good. So we kind of had a play of that, and so we then kind of got to level 3. Haven't been able to unlock anything yet, because the unlock starts at level 5, and we're going to jump in again maybe later this week and just kind of have we reckon that we just probably have to grind about 2 or 3 times before we can start unlocking new maps and new modes and things like that for this Underground DLC. But what we had, it was actually quite nice to be back there, and really enjoyed it. It was really good fun.
Because it's been a while since you've played, hasn't it?
It really has, yeah. I think it's been probably about 2 months since we kind of last jumped into the Division, maybe even longer. So it's definitely throughout the summer we haven't been able to get together or wanted to, because we've been playing Overwatch over on the PS4. Which is free this weekend on Xbox and PlayStation 4, before I forget. So it was good just to kind of get back, kind of get used to it. But like I say, now we have by finishing one of these underground modes, you then unlock more gear, and it's kind of purple gear or gold gear. You start really kind of leveling up. So we all leveled up our gear as well while we're there, it's great, because this DLC enables us to level up the gear, so we could then go and take the incursions and the kind of the Division raids, we can jump into those. So we're trying to get as high as we can, so we can take on one of those raids. So yeah, so it's really good just to jump back into the Division. The great thing about it is that we just have the Underground DLC. There was another DLC that was due out in September, but that's been put back until later on in the year. So it gives us time just to focus on that, do some more of that, and then try those incursions, which we really want to try, but we just get pummeled every time we try it. So
very thoughtful of them to put it back to give you a chance to get through this one.
Exactly, it was really nice.
I did think of you guys the other day because I can't remember if listeners remember. Back when the Division first came out, I think I managed about 3 or 4 evenings with you guys before my internet completely shut down. But there's a disc appeared at work of the Division, and it's just sat next to me, and I'm wondering whether I should jump back in. But I think you guys are far too far ahead, given how many hours you've got under your belt now. So I might just dabble. I might return to the city just to see how it fares in single player more than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the great thing about it is you could join our matches. You could join the three of us, and we could level you up quite quickly. Because I have been in a level with someone who was higher than me. It wasn't that much fun because I did just have to hide. But I leveled up. I leveled up quite quickly. But with things like the Underground, it doesn't matter because they're kind of level 30. So I guess because you were playing on Xbox, even though you maybe deleted the install, your save's still there, so you can still jump into your character, which was probably about level 15, I think. So yeah, no, we could easily get you back up and running.
Cool. I'll have to install that and have a gander.
You'll be star jumping in no time. So I've been playing that. So and when I've been playing kind of single player games, I'm still playing the Turing Test, which I was loving last week. I'm still loving it. It's such a great game. I think I'm on about the kind of 4th level. There was a bonus map that was really kind of perplexing me for a while, but that felt really good when I solved it. So I think I solved it while I was asleep and woke up one morning going, I know I know what I need to do now. And that was good fun. And that just kind of keeps giving you more and more story, and the tests are just they're so much fun. They're just great. They've started to introduce different coloured orbs now. So they have a green and a purple orb, and they just pulse on and off. So it means that maybe a door will kind of open and shut, or you need to kind of have a green and a purple one in, so it's always open. So there's some really kind of clever things that they're doing with this very simple mechanic. But yeah, no, I'm really enjoying the Turing Test. I should have that finished this week. I think I've probably got about another playthrough session to do, and then that will be, judging by the achievements, that will be done. But it's such a fantastic game. It's really good.
Cool. Are you going to go back and get all the achievements in it? Are you keeping an eye on those?
I don't know. There are a few. I think the bonus levels that I've missed about 3 or 4 of them, I must have missed about 3 of them, they all have quite high achievement points, so I might go back and do those, because I'm sure by the level that I am now, going back to those earlier levels and those more simplistic bonus levels, I should be able to crack them quite quickly.
Yeah, I love puzzle games like that where you get to go back to the start and then feel like a god as you just march through getting all the points you need.
Exactly, just like dot, bop, bop, there you go, done, next. but yeah, though, it's really the puzzles are really good in that game, and they do just kind of, when you go into a new section, it does just introduce a new mechanic, like maybe like a light bridge, and then there's lots of different things that you can do with that light bridge, turning it on and off. So when you go into the next room, they're just evolving that puzzle ever so slightly, but it just gets better and better the deeper you get into the puzzles and into the story. Grand.
So has that been taking up all your time?
It's been taking up most of my time, apart from today. Today, I was tempted. Maybe I wasn't going to add it onto the list, but this morning, and just before the pod, I've been playing Oceanhorn. So the full title is Oceanhorn: Monsters of the Uncharted Seas. What it should be called is, this game is just like the Wind Waker on the Xbox, because it's fantastic. It's an indie title called Oceanhorn, and it is just like the Wind Waker. It's a kind of top-down, isometric-ish view. Really lovely, luscious graphics. Very simple. I think it could easily be on the PS3. It could easily be on the Vita. But this game just looks and plays just like the Wind Waker. So you have this boy who his father has gone off to fight the Ocean Horn, and so the first task that you have is that your mother's necklace floats away magically down into a dungeon, and you have to go and retrieve it. And as you go and retrieve it, you get your sword and your shield. And then and now that you've got your sword, you can start chopping down grass, and little coins appear. You can pick up pots and throw them, and coins and rupees appear.
This sounds familiar.
It's like, then when you once you've got this master key, you can then unlock your boat, and you can then start sailing to other islands.
So I've just googled this. It's the first time I've really heard of it, and yeah, some of the ocean-going screenshots are very... Well, they pay tribute, shall we say, to a certain area. But is this on the iPad as well? Because I can see a couple of screenshots that are basically saying best of 2013 from the App Store.
What? I don't know. Is that why it's kind of very when I downloaded it yesterday, it was only like 730 meg. But I don't know. I've just got my iPhone. I'm just going to do Ocean Horn.
Yeah, first released November 14, 2013.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's been ported over to Xbox One and PS4 as well.
Now, strangely, I was thinking about going back to play Wind Waker because some of the news... This isn't in our news section, but there is an emulator called Dolphin that tries to emulate the hardware of the GameCube and the Wii. And that one of the news stories this week was they can finally now boot every single GameCube game. And someone was just telling me the wonders of looking at the Wind Waker in 4K. I mean, they haven't upscaled the textures, but because of the art style and because of how lovely it looks, I was really tempted to download and have a look at that. I was also tempted to go and get my copy of the Wind Waker and put it on my composite connection right next to it to see the difference. But see how things have changed over the years, because I really want to see how that looks on not through SCART. I'd have to try and figure out a way of upscaling it, but yeah.
Well, don't forget, it's also available on Wii U. They bought it out on a disc, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's not worth kind of jumping in. I mean, I actually have it. It's in my cupboard. I kind of had this. I had this romantic vision of me just playing it again on the Wii U, and never did. I think I started playing it, going, "This is amazing," and then that was all I did.
Yeah, this is pretty much why I didn't get it, because I thought I've got it upstairs. I could, in theory, just go upstairs and play it instead. But but this looks like a spiritual successor, shall we say?
It really is. I mean, so far I've discovered quite a few islands. I've been to an island where they make the bombs. So I go there where I can buy bombs and stick them in my satchel.
Have you found the boomerang yet?
No, and I'm sure that my control system, which is in the top right hand corner, you can see kind of the buttons and the weapons that I have. I'm sure I'm going to get a bow and arrow anytime, any moment.
Handed
now.
to you by a man named Tongle or something like that. No doubt.
Yes, but it's really good. It's good fun. The only annoying thing of that is there's lots of ledges that I want to pull myself up on and jump on, but there's no jump button. So it's almost like a puzzle. You have to kind of solve how you can get to the high level to drop down to those to get to that chest. Cool. The funniest thing was, though, the first time I opened the chest, in my head, and I tweeted this today, but in my head was like the diddle diddle diddle. I was putting the Zelda music whilst I was playing this game, and it was just very good. But yeah, so it's Ocean Horn, Monsters of the Uncharted Sea. I think it was about £10. I think it was about £10 on the Xbox and PlayStation Store, and well worth a game, because it's very cool.
Yeah, grand. So if I don't get my GameCube out, I might have a look in that direction.
Yes, indeed, and it's got achievements, so, which is good. So that's kind of what I've been playing. Anything else on your list?
Just carrying on dabbling with FIFA in preparation for the new season. I never did make it to Madden in the end. I did download actually the phone game of Madden. I think I managed to play the tutorial before I started looking at Hearthstone. But yeah, it seemed I was quite impressed with it. It gave you the option of either using a virtual stick or tapping on the screen to choose where you were going. So I might have a look at that further. But
right.
yeah, just carrying on with the sports games.
I could almost think of like maybe like a Pokemon Go-esque flick if you want to throw the ball, and then just kind of to flick it forward or something like that.
That's true. There used to be a football game, I think it was like Flick Soccer or something, where you literally just played the striker and had to try and score past like defenders and the keepers or so. So there must be a quarterback version of that.
Oh, it must be. That would just be such a great mechanic just to kind of do that. And so yeah. So are you playing? So you're playing FIFA 16 at the moment. So when does FIFA 17 come out?
I think it might be in 2 or 3 weeks' time.
Right.
And I never follow them close enough to know what's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
But the main controls have stayed the same for years, and the level I play it at, I can't use the trick stick anyway, so I probably won't notice half the time. But yeah, looking forward to jumping on with my brother and people to play the online mode.
Yeah, fantastic. Superb. So, should we start the news section? And in this news section, we have a rundown of the announcements from the PlayStation meeting. A surprise guest appears at the Apple event. And also, we have another great update heading to Xbox One. So, let's start with last night's PlayStation meeting. Now, James, before we jump into that detail, before we go through all of the announcements, what did you think? What did you think of the meeting? What was your overall view?
So, compared to the razzmatazz of E3, and like the upbeat, lots of colour, big lights on stage, like this is big, this is happening, look at us.
Yes.
It felt like they were addressing investors. It felt like someone had put together a hastily produced PowerPoint presentation. And it felt like someone's mother had died beforehand because everyone was talking in just that sort of like, thank you very much for coming. We really thank you for coming to see the PlayStation Day. We forgot a new console here, but yeah, and another new console. And that was about the level of excitement that it felt was in the room, and this seemed to get across to the audience as well, because I think you can really tell that at the E3 press conferences nowadays that both Xbox and PlayStation invite fans, people who are die-hard fans of those consoles and will whoop and cheer, and as much as that might seem slightly crazy for some people, like you can hear, and it injects a level of energy and excitement into those conferences that I think we can now definitely agree are needed.
Yes.
Because there were the occasional one person trying to clap announcements last night, which I adore, because someone I'm
doing this on my own, am I?
Then they examine the inside of someone else. Yeah. It was by God, it was dull. I watched it this morning because, of course, the Bake Off was last night.
Yes.
Listeners, we are skipping the Bake Off update for the PlayStation meeting, and I hope that means a lot to us. So we're doing this for you. And I'm glad I watched the Bake Off because I watched a stream of people talking over the Sony conference this morning, and it made it far more bearable because I went back and watched a few clips of like is it Jay Hauser and Mark Cerny? I forget the names.
Yes.
Those guys were, they were delivering good content. They were really delivering solid messages. They were getting the talk across of 4K HDR, but they didn't seem to be taking any joy in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was totally, because I was watching the Bake Off. Bread Week was really good this week, and I was watching the Bake Off, but I had my laptop on my lap, and I just had kind of one eye, just kind of watching because I wanted to see what was happening. I wanted to see what was being unveiled, and then I went back and kind of listened to it and watched it again. And I really wish I'd just kept, because I think Paul Hollywood would have been much better in there. For me, they were announcing. I mean, they could have had some fun with the PlayStation 4 Slim, and we'll get to the details in a moment. They could have got to a lot. They could have had a lot of fun with that. They could have shown pictures off eBay. They could have really have just been a little bit fun.
Just a wink and a nod, like, guys, we've got a new announcement for you. Just a knowing grin at the camera.
You never saw this coming.
Yeah.
But it was just, overall, I totally agree with you. They really do need that audience, because before the Bake Off started, I was watching the Apple event. So I had the Apple event, and I love my wife because she allows me to have the Apple event on the big TV and watching it, and she has to just sit through it. And
You make her sit there.
I'm like, watch this. This is
what I'm going to be talking about over dinner tonight. You will pay attention.
This is why our bank balance will be a lot lower on Friday. Watch this. This is where our pension's going. So we were just like watching it, and they were clapping, and it was fans, but it was also people involved, and they were clapping at things, and it was very exciting. It was a very exciting conference, and even though we are talking about just the tech, it was very exciting to hear that, and it's quite nice just to feel a vibe in the room. And then you switch over to the Sony event, and it was just full of journalists. I've kind of heard from some of the podcasts that I listen to that it was just journalists that were going there, and it did seem that they were very much right. I'm clicking my pen. I've got my laptop open. What have you got? Rather than, this is quite exciting. This is a new PlayStation, and I'm quite surprised because it almost felt like it was old Sony. It almost kind of felt like on the back foot Sony. It was like, we're really sorry we've sold 40 million PlayStations. We're going to show you something else now. Is that okay? And it felt very strange. It felt very strange, but the content, I will go right off the bat. I'm excited for what they unveiled. It's for me. It's for that idiot with a HDR 4K TV. It's for me, and I was excited by it. And I was sitting there watching it. Got quite excited while I was kind of in between Bread Week on the Bake Off and the PlayStation Week. I was getting excited about both, and my Twitter feed was a mixture of both. And then I was quite surprised that when I went to other people's tweets or I looked at a reactions video, I was quite surprised to see people so angry and so disappointed at the whole thing, and it really surprised me.
So what was the disappointment about? Because I guess cards on the table for you were really excited by it. It bounced off me, as we've discussed many times. I didn't go for 4K. I went for a 1080 OLED because I thought the OLED is what I want compared to the 4K resolution. So there was nothing there for me. However, I thought what they did was interesting. I think just switching out that base model for the Slim is very clever. In the same way the S has happened. Like this, both of them have got new base versions. Both of them can do HDR. Both of them can the Slim do 4K?
No, the Slim can't do 4K. It can only do HDR, which, as any normal PlayStation will be able to do after next week's patch.
Are there many TVs that do HDR but not 4K?
No, I think all TVs are 2160, which is the 4K HDR. I don't think you'll get a TV that's HDR only.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I like to call it the PlayStation AM, because I don't know if we... So there's the PlayStation 4 Slim, and now they've got the... I don't think they're even calling it Slim, it's just the new PlayStation. And they've got the PlayStation Pro, which is this beefed up 4K HDR ready machine. So I've effectively got the amateur version that's going to be from here on out. And I'm not upset that people are going to get a more powerful machine. Because I think, as we've seen from the likes of, as you said, from the Apple conference, they're a great example of just incremental hardware implementation. And so the many, many years of incremental improvements from Apple has almost braced, I think, those of us who at least cursory follow the tech world for this happening. It was bound to happen sooner or later. And I'm not hurt. I just wonder have they gone far enough? And I think that my questions all surround going, I just need to see them side by side. I want to see a standard game. Forget your 4K, forget your HDR. I want to see a standard game and how it compares from the AM to the Pro on 1080p. And I think this is where I'm going to start getting a feeling for whether I like this new thing or not, because I don't think they focused enough on it last night. Last night was all about, here's HDR, here's 4K, look at the difference! Look at the difference! Well, you can't look at the difference because I'm watching on a 720 stream. This doesn't work. So I wish they'd paid at least more of a. I wish they put out a trailer of going. This is what it looks like on 1080 on the AM and 1080 on the Pro.
Absolutely. I mean, I've on YouTube on my TV, you can now see some of the sizzle reels that they put out, because last night when they were saying look at the detail on Spider-Man, and we will kind of break down properly in a moment, but when we kind of look at the detail there, look at that sunrise, and then you couldn't really appreciate it because, as you're right, I was watching it live on Twitch, and it was probably 720, it was 1080, it just wasn't. But then when I went over to my TV and went over to or even the YouTube app on the Xbox One S, which was playing in 4K, I then watched the sizzle reel, and I'll put the link into the show notes so you can have a look at it. But that looks stunning, and suddenly I was like, oh, hello. Hello, how do I pre-order this? Because they suddenly did start to pop. They really did start to look a lot shinier, and the textures and the sun and the backgrounds were looking fantastic. But what we have to realise, and one of the reacts that I watched was the guys from Kinda Funny, and one of the things that they were very mad about it, incredibly mad about this PlayStation event, and one of the things they were saying was it doesn't make games better, it just makes them look nicer. There is no improvement, and I think you've said this previously about this new generation where we are getting more depth to our games, and what we saw last night, even though I'm very excited about it, is just an aesthetic, is just here's a nice big shiny film over your games.
So I've actually got this written down as well. This is something I wanted to bring back up. But before we go too deep, should we at least try and talk about what the new models were for people who missed it? Because I realised that our enthusiasm skipped past that point.
Yes. So we have the Xbox One, Xbox, totally
the
wrong.
Xbox Pro.
The Xbox PS4. So we have the PS4. The new PS4 Slim will be available on September the 15th in the UK and also in the US and other territories, and that's going for $259 or £259, or in the US it's going for $299. That is now, as you were saying, James, that is now the baseline PlayStation 4. So the one that we all bought at launch, that's now been superseded by this new PlayStation, and it looks quite nice. It's very sleek. It's what we saw last week on eBay. It's very much that. So that's now available, and as I was saying, there will be a HDR patch to every PlayStation 4. There will be a patch next week that will enable us to then start, if you have a HDR capable TV, to view HDR games.
So and that's the only difference, really, isn't it? It's just a smaller form factor. I don't think they increase the size of the hard drive. I think it's just a refresh in the hardware.
Yes, okay. Absolutely. It's just that, and as I was saying, I think I reported last week, there's no audio out port at the back of the new PlayStation, so which has annoyed people who have maybe Turtle Beach headsets or headsets that need to go into that audio out port at the back.
Cool. And then to complement that was the PlayStation Pro, which was revealed to be 4K compatible. So it can stream 4K Netflix and alike, and it can output a 4K game. And I think they showed things like Last of Us running at 4K resolution itself. And that comes with a 1 terabyte hard drive. It can do HDR as well, as Anthony said. And that's going to come out at around £350, $399. So, about £100, $100 difference between the two of them. And this is coming out in November the 10th, I think.
It is indeed, yeah. November the 10th are in all territories. And now, the thing with the PlayStation, the PS4 Pro, is it has an upgraded GPU. It has a boosted CPU as well, and as you say, it has a 1 terabyte hard drive as well, which I thought maybe just isn't enough. If at this point they could have gone for that 2 terabyte that the Xbox One S has, so they could have gone for something like that. But it's a 1 terabyte. It is what it is, and it's a 1 terabyte hard drive.
Interestingly, though, for me as well, it does not have a UHD Blu-ray player. So despite being able to output 4K, it does not support 4K Blu-rays, which I was really surprised at, because Sony, like, at the forefront of doing the DVDs with in the PlayStation 2, and they were at the forefront of doing Blu-rays with the last couple of PlayStations as well. So I was really shocked and quite surprised that they did not take this opportunity to push the Blu-ray agenda further. And I think it's almost a missed opportunity at this point as well. If people are looking for this all-in-one 4K box, this seems very short-sighted.
But the thing with Sony at the moment is that they do not have a Ultra HD Blu-ray player on the market. Yeah, you can't buy a Sony UHD Blu-ray player. You can only buy a Samsung, Panasonic. Sony, they don't have one because this year in the US, it's yet to come to the UK, but they've gone all in for streaming. So they've gone all in for 4K streaming. So that's why they were there proudly supporting Netflix. That's why they were there kind of supporting other YouTube 4K, because they're very much kind of, that's where they are. They haven't got that player out. So, if they did that, I mean, it probably isn't a bad thing, because if you're on a market for a Ultra HD Blu-ray player and you saw that this one had it, you would jump at the chance. My Xbox One S has a Ultra HD Blu-ray player, but I also have the Panasonic Blu-ray player as well. It was. I was really surprised, and they didn't say anything about that during the meeting. It was something that kind of came out when people started getting hands-on, and they would probably just start talking to whoever was manning these consoles, going, "Oh, so what Ultra HD Blu-ray drive is in there?" And they're like, "There isn't one." It was just like, so people started tweeting, and it just started bubbling up on Twitter.
I guess it makes more sense from a corporate level then. If this is the strategy across the whole of the organisation, across all their AV units, then okay, it makes more. I think it's still a short-sightedness, but it makes more sense across the entire company.
Absolutely, I think it is. I'm surprised that where they have these flagship 4K HDR screens that look incredible, they don't have the content to back it. They are just in the streaming. Like I say, the PlayStation Now, I think it is, or they even have a new name for it. That is their 4K content streaming. But for me, I prefer, when I'm watching 4K content, when I'm watching Netflix or when I'm watching Amazon, I don't mind. I'll just watch HDR and 4K. Occasionally it might pixelate. I'm happy with that. But when I'm sitting down and watching a movie, when I'm sitting down watching Batman versus Superman, I prefer that physical media, because I know that I'm always going to get best sound, best picture, and it's never going to fluctuate if my internet suddenly decides to take a bit of a wobbly. So where I'm very kind of, I'm loving HDR, I'm loving 4K visuals, to the point where I think I did tweet out today that maybe I should be a PC gamer. But I just love my consoles. I love Xbox and PlayStation 4 because it's so easy. I just put my disc in and the game is there, and I don't have to worry about if I've got the best, if what I'm looking at is the best that my game can be. Darren shared some of the times where he has spent a good hour going, do I need to turn that down? Am I turning this up? Where I like to be able to just turn on my console, put my game in, and then I'm playing it. So I guess that's the internal struggle I have. But now that I have this console, I've already got an Xbox One S. Now that I have this PlayStation 4 Pro that's going to be out, that will be available to play these games, I'm all in. I'm very excited about it, to just get that little graphical bump.
Yeah, it's interesting what you say about tweaking the settings, because this is where one of my, I guess, fears go, because I think it was already revealed that Tomb Raider looks amazing by all accounts. Again, I can't see the 4K, can't see the HDR, but by all reports, Tomb Raider was the one that wowed most at last night's reveal. But I think because they've got settings now, I think, in their menu where you can try and balance what you want from it. So you can, it could be, I hope it's Tomb Raider I'm talking about, so apologies if it's the wrong one. But there was one game last night that allowed you to tweak the settings, whether you wanted the visuals, whether you wanted the resolution, or whether you wanted like the high textures, or whether you wanted the filled world.
Right.
So it's interesting that we're already going down this route, and it's only this first generation of this. But I guess it makes sense. Like, you're going to have a low and a high quality bar, like visual settings, to go for this. And people have been doing this on PC for a long time, but it's going to take bit of getting used to for your console at this point. I didn't think I'd have to turn on and off features in my console games, but I guess this is the incremental future. This is where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, there was a demo for a game that we played on the pod. I think it was Neo on the PlayStation, where you had that option where you could either have 60 frames or you could be running at 1080p. It was really strange. If you went for 1080p to start off with, it was very shiny, but it was a little bit clunky. And the moment you go for that 60 frames, and you don't want to go back because it's so smooth, and you almost go, I'll take those downgraded visuals. I'll take those in quotes. I'll take those downgraded visuals because I prefer the 60 frames. But so the PlayStation, the PS4 Pro is going to, what it's going to do is it will upscale in a wizardry, clever way. It's going to be upscaling games to 2160p, so 2160p, if your TV can go that high. If you have a TV which is HDR as well as 4K, because don't forget, HDR is quite new. I think when I got my new TV at the start of this year, that was one of the first to have the HDR as well, because there was a lot of my previous TV was just 4K, and it didn't have that extra kind of HDR shininess. So I think it's very much kind of the last and this generation of TVs, so last year's and this year's TVs, that have that extra HDR ability.
Yeah.
So it's going to take your games up to 2160 if your TV supports it, and then if your TV supports HDR, it's also going to factor in that as well. And they did show some games. They had a bit of a sizzle reel. They showed Tomb Raider, as you're saying. I mean, I remember when I was playing Tomb Raider on the Xbox, friend of the show, Manny, he was playing Tomb Raider on his PC, on his 4K PC, and he uploaded so I could have a look, some 4K content, and it already made me feel bad because I was playing, went back onto my Xbox One, and I was like, that's amazing. And then I saw even that, which has obviously been compressed as hell to go up onto YouTube, but it looked incredible. It looked really stunning. So they showed Tomb Raider, they showed Watch Dogs, they showed For Honor as well. They showed the new Spider-Man game from Insomniac, and that just looked absolutely stunning. It was just the games that they had, even though we're saying it was boring, but when they kind of jumped into these kind of sizzle reels, they really did. I can't really say pop because of what we were watching on, but they really did look like they were going to look incredible.
Yeah, and again, I think this is one of the hard battles they have about trying to sell it over to people, because, again, you can't really convey that unless you've got the medium to see it already. They showed a few other things as well. They showed Horizon Zero Dawn. There was like a minute or two section of that where the protagonist scaled this robotic dinosaur, brachiosaur giraffe thing and stood on its head. But that was enough for me.
Pretty cool,
that was
it?
My favourite part of the entire conference, just seeing another snippet into that world, because that's a game I want. I don't care whether it's in 4K or 720, to be honest. I just want that one.
Did you just kind of end up looking? I was looking away. I didn't want to see too much. I was like, no, I'm okay. I'm happy. I want this game. I need this game. I was like, I don't want to know. Yeah, I don't want any more. But yeah, so they showed that, and they also had a bit of a Call of Duty section with the chap whose mic didn't work. He had awesome collars on his top, but his mic didn't. His clip-on mic didn't work, so he had to go with a microphone. And then they showed Call of Duty running on the PlayStation Pro.
Yep. Again, looked nice. I assume it looked even nicer. And then I think they finished. Well, the last big one I've got written down is they had a snippet from Mass Effect Andromeda, which didn't look like the most interesting section of gameplay, but at least showed off the HDR, I assume, again, nature of it, because there was lots of lighting changes and very fancy. But didn't really show too much of the actual gameplay, just showed you scanning a few things. So, yeah, they seem to be the big ones. I think they showed a bit of Last of Us as well, gone back and patched it so that it supports the Pro.
I think they're calling it forward compatibility. It's what they call. That's what I've got on my notes.
There's another one. Just add to the marketing bullpoop bingo cards.
So we had they showed Infamous Second Son. They showed the DLC for that because the character that you were playing could drain neon lights. So that's just perfect for HDR. You know, that is made. That's a game that's made for HDR. So they showed that. They've patched that. They've also patched Warner Brothers have patched Shadow of Mordor as well. And they was also showing that what the PlayStation Pro looks like on a normal, I'll call it normal, on a 2K TV, because you're getting optimized to 1080p. So maybe some of those games, especially early on in the PlayStation cycle, they were maybe kind of running at 980 because there was especially the third party titles, because it was they were trying to have the same game for both Xbox and PlayStation, so some of those were running at a lower frame rate. So they're now being upscaled to 1080p, and they showed Shadow of Mordor, what it would look like on a 2K TV, and even that started to look a little bit shinier. So that new GPU and the overclocked CPU, they're really going to help you, even if you have just a quote unquote normal TV.
Yeah, but I think we then go back to that matter I tried to steer us away from before I went off on a rant, but back to the specs. So I have a real bee in my bonnet. It's like so many games in this generation, be it on PC or be it on consoles, any console, they're far too quick to go for, oh, okay, quick, new feature, tick back of the box. I would love it if we put more processing, more memory, more effort, more time, more resources, everything into making these worlds richer rather than higher resolution. I would play more games at 720 and 60 hertz if they filled the world rather than trying to. I mean, they're quite full now, but why do we suddenly have to go for resolution rather than content? You look at the likes of Firewatch, you look at the likes of Overwatch. These are stylistic, wonderful games that I think. We were talking about the Wind Waker. The Wind Waker looked amazing back then, and it was on, 480p or something like that. And I think you can do more with the world, with an art style, than simply cranking up the resolution, which is probably another reason why I'm not dashing towards a 4K telly, because I don't watch a huge amount of films. So obviously, I know you're a film buff, so it makes complete and utter sense. But for games itself, it seems like we're just going to be stretching resources yet further before we've actually really conquered and mastered 1080p 60.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the only games that there have been a few games this generation where you've gone, we couldn't have had this on the PlayStation 3 or the Xbox 360. You know, things like The Witcher, where that world is just so full. You know, but if you go back to those times where we had things like Skyrim, you know, they were maybe they weren't as visually as incredible as they probably would, and there's a new version coming out or an up-res version, but the amount of the world, you know, if you knocked something over in a house and went back later, it was still there. That's what I want more of, and that should be our benchmark. And as much as I am a graphics person, I do want my games to have more content, and I do want them that we should be taking advantage of that. And I'm sure if Darren, who is still poorly unfortunately, but if Darren was on the pod, he'd be totally agreeing with you and would be just completely just kind of saying that we need more content in games, and that those visuals, that these consoles, the Xbox One S and this PlayStation 4 Pro, should have been what this is what we should have started with a generation. I think this, if we'd have had a PlayStation 4 Pro and an Xbox One S, would have been the start of this next generation. It would have been fantastic. You know, it would have been such a graphical leap, such a content leap, such a processing leap. But what we've actually done is we've now introduced something which is a mid-generation refresh.
Yeah, I'm going to be very interested to find out how developers cope with it as well, because we mentioned it several occasions during the roundup. People have gone back and patched the old games. People have gone back and patched Second Son. They've gone back and patched Shadow of Mordor. That requires effort. So although I think that through the magical upscaling thing, which actually looks really impressive, they've done a really nice job of using clever maths. We'll summarise it like that: clever maths to make 1080p look really nice on 4K tellies. It's not simple upscaling. They do some funky stuff behind the scenes, but for anyone else who wants to take real advantage of it, it looks like it's going to be from this point forward. I'm not going to expect to pop in, I don't know, a Rocket League and suddenly expect it to be 4K compatible. It's like this requires work, time and effort from teams going back and doing it. And you just wonder how many code bases have been retired or games deemed not profitable enough to carry on working on. So there will be a limit to the games that we actually see this fully utilising it.
Absolutely. I think last night they said that a lot of their first party titles will have patches. We'll have patches very soon. I think we'll obviously start seeing those from next week when the HDR patch goes out. Definitely, I've seen today that both Uncharted 4 and also the Last of Us remake have been patched, so you can expect a lot of first party, because Sony may even have a team that's helping you do that. But I did notice that there was that when they said that other titles, there are quite a few third-party titles that have been patched and that will be rolling out soon. So they used soon and quite a few to try and convince us that we're going to... I mean, I would love to see No Man's Sky get that, because it looks great on PC. It's a little bit choppy on the PlayStation 4.
They have other priorities.
No, they don't. Visuals should be top. No, they're absolutely. I mean, but you could get people going back to that, and if the game starts looking good, then you could then start doing your base building and everything else. But I'll be interested to see what's going to be upgraded for next week's HDR patch. But I mean, it's really interesting that this has happened now. So we have this PlayStation 4 Pro, we have the Xbox One S. The Xbox One S is at HDR. So Forza is... Oh, I'm so excited for Forza. Forza is a couple of weeks away, a couple of weeks away, and that's going to be the very first HDR game on the Xbox. So we have that, and then we're going to have HDR games next week, as soon as they start to patch old ones, and obviously this doesn't come out until November. But then Sony have now played their high-spec console card. This is the Neo. This is the thing that we were talking about and have been talking about for a while yet. We've still got Scorpio that's going to be... I know it's 12-18 months away, but we still have a high-spec Xbox One coming out, or this could be the next Xbox. We don't know, but we still have this. But Sony has nothing now. They have nothing to go against the Scorpio. For me, this PlayStation Pro is going up against the Xbox One S, and so it's because I don't think Sony could come out with another one. Go, oh, we found another one at the back of the sofa. This is now. This is better. They can't do that. So we are going to have. So maybe Microsoft are going to kickstart the next generation with Scorpio. We don't know, but it's really interesting because I was expecting, even though I'm happy with this, the visuals look great when you're looking at it in 4K. I was expecting a lot more. I wasn't just expecting the upscaling. I was expecting the 4K graphics that you get when you're running a PC.
Yeah, I don't think 4K graphics native were ever going to be a realistic thing across the board. I'm sure there will be some games that very much suit it, that they can get out, the proper 4K native, not upscaled resolution. But yeah, for effectively 45 minutes of a new console launch, it was a bit of it's probably because everything had been leaked several times over as well, and they weren't going to admit it. It was just very much so it was right, and it was like back to the bake-off.
Absolutely. I mean, the interesting thing that we haven't touched on, and again, I can kind of hear Darren screaming at us, is the one thing that we haven't touched on is VR, is PlayStation VR. Now, they did say that the PlayStation 4 Pro gives extra quality to your PlayStation VR visuals. So you do get a better gameplay experience with PS Pro and PlayStation VR.
I think this one's the cheekiest one. I honestly do, because it's like you've got people who have pre-ordered the PlayStation VR stuff thinking they've got a real bargain for VR at this point in time, and then they can suddenly come out with this. It's when they said at least twice, it can be twice as good. It's like, at least with the rest of them, they said there are bumps in quality. You can get improvements in frame rate or so, but to come out and say that things look twice as good, I think that there's going to be a few people getting their backs up about that one.
Yes. So So I guess the question for you, James, is: Are you going to pre-order? Will you think about this, or is it something that you're like, if my PlayStation 4 breaks one day, if the bunnies attack it and they break it, I'll get one of these. Yeah. But otherwise, you're not interested.
As I don't have a 4K telly, none of this interests me at all. And the same with the Xbox S. Didn't even think about upgrading. Any of these new base consoles that are targeting 4K, I will wait. I've bought a nice TV. No matter how many P it has, it's still a nice TV, and I'm going to be happy with it. But if the worst did happen, and Barry got the cables and started eating the inside of an Xbox, or chewed through the outer casing on a PlayStation, I would probably get one of these just simply to forward compatibility. I would be forward compatible at that point in time. So, but yeah, as it stands, my wallet is still firmly in my pocket for both Xbox and PlayStation.
Fantastic. I mean, for me, it will come as no surprise to any of our listeners. At 5:30 this morning, I pre-ordered the PS4 Pro on Amazon.
Well, as I said, I didn't need to ask. I might as well have asked, has the sun risen this morning, to whether you have pre-ordered this?
It was so funny. My alarm went off. I was working from home today. My alarm went off so I could go downstairs and play Ocean Horn. My alarm went off, and the first thing I did was I grabbed my phone. I was like, I'll just check Amazon to see it through sleepy eyes. And then I bought it with my thumb because it's just a thumbprint away. And I was like, yes, instant checkout. There's my thumb. Yeah. Yes. And then I went downstairs and played Ocean Horn. So it was, So I'm happy with that because, as I say, I'm all in 4K. I'm a big movie buff. I love my TV. It's shiny, it's lovely, and I want as much content as I can through that. So it just makes sense.
I 100% agree. And if I had a 4K telly, it might be different. But let's, before the entire show, because I think we're an hour in on this. There's still one other big thing to talk about last night: Bread Week. So, I was really irritated with Bread Week last night because they had to try and make chocolate-flavoured bread. And that first challenge, everyone just kept putting far too much moisture into their bread. I don't know how any of them expected it to bake properly.
There were some gooey messes. There really was. It was just, I was really happy because there was one of the bakers. I think it was Andrew who had done, or someone had done a smaller bake, but they were worried about their bake that it was smaller than everybody else's. But they were the smart cookie or smart loaf because it was small, so it was cooked well, and it was
also
perfect.
Mostly dry ingredients. It was like proper hazelnut. Perfect.
Yes, but there were some good breads. Anything taking your fancy this week? Because I did see on Twitter Viennese Wells. They looked very good from both Thomases, from both Mr. and Mrs. Much. Thomas. I was very impressed.
Mine was slightly larger than I intended, but quite crumbly and nice. And Ali made some as well. So this week, I think
I thought you was going to say mine were better.
Ali has honestly been trying to persuade anyone she can to say hers were better, but I'm going to rise above this. It's like, if she wants to make more Viennese rolls to try and prove that, I will eat them and say they're better so I can get more. But I think I'm just going to try and make a chocolate flavoured bread this week because I think everything else was slightly over the top. I might actually just try and plait a loaf. I haven't plaited a loaf ever, so that might be worth a try.
Yes, it was absolutely. It was the plaits that came in at the end. They were some really good. There were some very very strange ones that just looked like a big schmoosh. But what I thought was I mean, again, Mel and Sue were just like so funny. And but what I thought was funny was the technical challenge. The technical challenge, and they were bump
noodles.
Bump noodles, bump strudel, sounded like something from IKEA. But it was just, they were just like, they look very good. And I think, as Mary Berry said, it's like a bun that hasn't been iced. But it was very interesting because if you're sitting there going, these guys are talking about Bake Off again. I know, I did get a message from Darren today saying that he's also going to put the podcast into the baking section of iTunes. So we're getting marked down, I tell you. But anyone who hasn't, it's on iTunes, it's on iPlayer, it's on iTunes, it's on iPlayer. Watch the Bake Off, because one of the things that we said a couple of weeks ago that was amazing was last night one of the bakers had some issues, maybe tipping out their bread, and there was 4 other contestants were just around helping them, and it just makes you feel just lovely, and it's just a warm glow, and it's just so lovely. And it was just it was great. It was really good. But the Chesson household is very excited about next week. Next week is Batter Week, and we're incredibly excited.
So I could only think pancakes and toad in the hole.
Yorkshire puddings, yes.
Oh, yes.
See, Yorkshire puddings are the reason why my wife married me. I'm sure of it, because I make a mean Yorkshire pudding. They're ginormous. I bought this tin from America I saw it in I think it was like Crate and Barrel or something like that, and I bought this tin that was for really big muffins, and I make like heat up my oil so it's so hot, and then tip in my mixture that's kind of hours of whisking, and every now and then just kind of fluffing back up again, and then they just explode in the oven, and they're just ginormous. And Nicola, she's a very tiny woman, but she just somehow she makes two disappear, and later she gets another. She's probably going to kill me if she listens to this, but she just and she loves them. And I do think, if they went flat, I'd probably find myself out on the street. So,
strong foundations. It's good.
It is, yes, yeah. That's the foundation of our marriage. Batter, but no, it's very interesting. We're going to have Batter Week is next week.
Splendid. So before Darren kicks us both off the podcast, we should probably get back to gaming, I suppose.
So there was one other tech announcement last night, which was the Apple announcement. So very big for me. I do love an Apple. I do love an Apple strudel. I do love an Apple announcement. And so last night Apple announced iPhone 7, iOS 10, and Watch OS 3, which has some really lovely features for the Apple Watch. The iPhone 7 looks fantastic. They showed the iPhone 7 Plus that had an amazing double camera on board that did some zooms and did some very clever funky stuff with pictures, which no doubt that functionality will be in the 7S or the 8. But it was a nice announcement. They also showed I think they called it Apple Watch Series 2, which is just a slight tweak to the Apple Watch. It's now, the Apple Watch itself is splash proof. The new one is now waterproof, so if you're a swimmer or if you take to the waters, then this is a fantastic watch for you. A couple of things that really stood out in the Apple event, just about the kind of Apple Watch. They did show an app that was for hiking, and I've been talking to everyone about it today because I was blown away by it. It was this app where you can start, they showed that you were in Yosemite, of course, and you start this hike, which is like a 4-mile hike, and as you get to a certain point in the hike, your watch will rumble, it will ping, and it will say, it'll give you some points of interest, like here's some red hawks are known to be flying around here. You turn into that person that everyone hates while you're hiking, but it does that. And if you start to stray off the path, it will then your watch will rumble, it will bing, and it will bring you back on to the path. So they have things like that, because one of the features that the Series 2 Apple Watch has is it has a GPS on board, so you no longer are tethered to your phone for your location. It will do it itself, and it was a really nice little kind of refresh of it. But the best thing that I love, being a tech head, was that because it's waterproof, there are some points where water will get in, but the water is expelled by the speaker that's on the Apple Watch. So the speaker will vibrate and will push out any of the water. Yeah.
That's funky.
I was like, I love it. And they showed this like kind of almost an X-ray version of it. So it looked very cool. So that's Apple Watch, new iPhone, very lovely. They have this thing called Jet Black, which makes it look like the old 3GS phone, and it's very lovely. I think it might scratch quite easy, but it's all very lovely. It was all very Apple-y, and but bringing it back to games, they did have two big things to announce at the event. The first one is Shigeru Miyamoto took the stage. So the creator of Mario took to the stage and showed us a Mario mobile game. So this was called Super Mario Run. It's an endless runner in portrait mode on the iPhone, and it looked fantastic. It looked really good. This was another foray for Nintendo into there. I have been reading up about it today, and even though it's going to be released on iOS first, it's already on the App Store to get a notification of when it comes out. Even though it's going to be released on the App Store, iOS App Store first, it is also coming to Android as well.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at that, given where Pokemon Go, where not Tamagotchi Life, what's that one called? Miitomo. What happened to that? I would just think Nintendo would be limiting their market at a very early stage if they were going to go platform exclusive for something like this. But yeah, it looks interesting. I don't, in the same way the Lumines, I don't like the fact that it's portrait view. I don't think that you see enough of a level, but I guess you're only running in one way, so you only need to see so much. But what I think is very clever is the fact that Nintendo aren't porting things. I think the fact they took their time with Miitomo, the fact they're taking their time with things like Animal Crossing, shows they are trying to think about how these games fit to a mobile and touch interface. And I think Mario, if you try to port even like Mario 1, you would struggle, because it's not necessarily the interface, it's the feel. Like, if you put a virtual joypad on the screen, you would not get anywhere near the feeling and satisfaction, I suspect, that you would from the old NES or any D-pad to this day, because you've got that tactility, you've got that feedback of where your fingers are on it, whereas just swishing around on the screen just swims and away it goes. So, rethinking Mario into, I'm not saying they're reinventing the genre, but to bring it into the Endless Runner style makes complete sense, because they can still create Mario's worlds. They can still create levels that are taxing and challenging to get through. They might not have the sense of interaction that you would want from a Super Mario Land or alike, but they are at least building something suited to the platform.
Absolutely, and then we have more to come as well. I was surprised that they were they finished with just the one. I thought maybe they would then, because I know there's an Animal Crossing game as well, isn't there? That's supposed to be coming out as well. But there was no mention of that. It was just, here's Mario, great looking icon, but I can't wait to have on my on my iPhone. So it was. They kind of came on, they did that, and then Shigeru Miyamoto kind of sat in the audience. They kept going back to him every now and then.
Well, just staring at him. I didn't actually watch it. Just seeing if he approved. We have this new feature. What do you think? And he just shakes his head.
What do you think? And it gave a little nod. Yeah. And then next up, and then the other kind of gaming-related item was Pokemon Go on Apple Watch. So they showed off. So Niantic came on stage. It was quite funny. They were quite funny, which is kind of the thing that was lacking from the Sony event, where they said, "Oh, we've had quite a busy summer."
Self-awareness. And everyone, it goes down so well.
It really does, and everyone was chuckling at that. They did announce, before they showed off Pokemon Go on Apple Watch, they announced that they have surpassed 500 million downloads worldwide since July.
That's impressive. That's a seriously impressive number.
It's absolutely. Even if you just play it for just a couple of hours and didn't like it and delete it, there's still 500 million downloads, over 500 million, and growing. But what they did announce was some functionality for your Apple Watch. So if you're kind of walking along, one of the things I've always thought should have been there from day one. You're walking along, there's a Pokemon in the area, your watch pings, you look at your watch, and there it is, and you can then go and catch that Jigglypuff. You can then go and catch that Pokemon. It would also, if you're walking and you hatch an egg, that will appear on your watch. It will also show you medals. It will show you, and then when you're walking, you can just, when you get home, you finished it, you can just say finish exercise, and then it will just upload all of the steps you've done. Will then just be added to your steps that are on the fitness app on the iPhone. So, which I thought was really cool.
That's good. Combine that. I say I've always been trying to combine Pokemon Go with Fitbit. So yeah, this is just missing out that, just taking out that interlinking stage.
Absolutely, it just does. And the great thing about the fitness app as well, they've updated that with a little bit of Fitbit functionality, where you can now have leaderboards with other iOS people, other iOS users. So you can now start having the same leaderboards as you're enjoying with your Fitbits.
Cool.
So that was quite cool. So it was a nice little event. It was very interesting. I'm still on the fence about a few things, but it was. But you're
going to pre-order it anyway.
And so the release date, I think the release date is the 16th. Is the 16th of September. So it's not too long to wait before both of those devices are available.
Splendid.
So, more gaming news, James. So, next piece of news is with you.
Yeah. I think we are done with platforms, and we are done with new pieces of hardware. So, Let's go on to slightly lighter-hearted news, I think. So Sega have been looking into remasters of the first two Shenmue games, with Shenmue blowing up last year, with Sony announcing Shenmue 3 on stage in the Kickstarter. I think a lot of attention's been focused back on these classics from the Dreamcast. I think it was like 99 and early 2000s for the first two. But yeah, since Shenmue 3 came about, Sega have been inundated with requests about whether they're going to remake or remaster these. And they have said, we're looking into it. We haven't given it a green light, but it has our full attention. So they went on to elaborate slightly that it's not just a case of them basically pulling out some old code from a drawer, up-resing some textures, and away they go. There's a lot of old licenses that have actually potentially held up any potential new game itself. So renewing of contracts that were basically signed, I'm guessing 17, 18 years ago when the game was in development. And those things can really hold a project up. So yeah, we might be seeing at some point in the future a remake of the first two Shenmues. And I couldn't think of a better way of celebrating Shenmue 3's impending launch as well, because these things have got such a nostalgic value to I think especially gamers of our generation. And they've almost like passed into folklore that I think a lot of people would like to see how they are, to see them play, just to see where it all started. And all the jokes about forklifting and sailors down the docks, it's like, let's see where this all came from in the first place.
Yes, indeed. I must admit, I think I was talking in the last pod about that I wanted to get my Dreamcast and my Sega Saturn out, which I did. But the one thing that I haven't been able to do is my Dreamcast, because I need a connector. I can't find that lead. And I must admit, that is one of the games that I would like to just put on, just to kind of see what it looks like now, see what it feels like. Just go through. Maybe my save is still there. Maybe the hard drive is still working, and my save is there, just to have a look where I am. And just really just experience that game again. So if there was a remake, I would happily. I mean, we're probably not going to get Shenmue 3 until, I don't know, 2020 or something. So we've got plenty of time to enjoy both Shenmue 1 and 2. So I would love to see a remake of those. And you're right. I mean, I remember the original game. I think Shenmue 1 had so many licensed products. There was arcade machines. There was Coca-Cola machines everywhere, and there was things like that, and kind of little Pachenko machines and things. So I would love to see those upgrade. I definitely would jump into those. But if they gave you enough time, to kind of enjoy both of them, because I think 2, correct me if I'm wrong, I think 2 was quite a lengthy game. But
I honestly can't. I think they were both huge games by comparison to especially a lot of ones that were out at the time. So yes, that would. I guess it's almost like they did with the Nathan Drake trilogy, wasn't it? They remastered those 3 games before 4 came out. And although it's Sega as opposed to Sony, I'm sure something could be sorted out.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and for me, that was fantastic, because the one thing that I had never done is I hadn't completed all of those Uncharted games. So for me, that gave me that time to go through those, and I was hyped. I was super hyped for Uncharted 4. So I really enjoyed that. So doing something like that with Shenmue would be really nice. I must admit, I bought Fractured Butthole, the South Park Fractured Butthole, which I just chuckle at now, because I never got it the first time I said the name, and then I think on the podcast, it kind of, as I was talking about it, I was like, oh, I get it now. But I bought the game because I was really fancying. I keep hearing people talk about the original South Park, and some friends of mine saying, you've got to play it. It's very good. Just give it a go. It's only about 10 hours, and it's a really good game. So I bought the Fractured Butthole, which comes with an Xbox One version of Stick of Truth. So they said, when you're reading it, it said like you can buy this now, you'll get a download code for Stick of Truth. I was like, excellent, that's what I'm going to do today. I think that's like Sunday sorted. I'm going to play that. But what happened was I did that, and then I then get a message saying, yep, it will be available, or it's available now. So I went over to the store, went to click buy, and then it was like, oh, this game is not going to be released until December. So so they're going to release Stick of Truth on the same day as Fractured Butthole. And I just, there's no point point in that? I was like, that doesn't give me enough time. So what I thought I'd do is I'll play Fractured Butthole because that's new and fresh, and then after I finish that, I'll then go back and play Stick of Truth because I don't think they're that linked, or that they will spoil any of the story of those games. But that's what I'm saying. I really would like, if Shenmue was going to be remastered, to give us plenty of time, play it, enjoy it, and then pang for that third game.
Yes, yeah. If and when. But yes.
If and when.
I should be positive about one of these kickstarted games one day, but not today. Anthony, next piece of news is with you.
So the next piece of news is with me, and it's all about Telltale. So we have Telltale have been releasing release dates for their next 2 games. So we have Batman, the Telltale series. We're getting episode 2 next week. So episode 2 is dropping on September 16th on all of the platforms. So Xbox One, PS4, PlayStation 3, and also Xbox 360. And I think it's coming to Android and iOS later that month. So we're going to get Batman episode 2, and I believe the episode is entitled Children of Arkham. They haven't given much about it, but I know there is a playthrough that's going to be happening in the week leading up to the launch of episode 2. So I'll be giving that a miss because I want it to unfold whilst I'm playing. But I really enjoyed the first one. I really enjoyed the first episode, even though the engine's still a little bit clunky on that one. Really enjoyed the first episode, so can't wait to hear more people tell me that my parents are dead, because that's all that happened in the first episode.
It's a proper Bruce Wayne simulator. So how long has it been since the first one came out? Because I know Telltale go hot and cold on their schedule of getting these out frequently.
I think the first one was at the start of August.
Okay, so that's not too bad. Like 5-6 weeks.
Yeah, so they are saying that it's going to be a 5-part series, and they want to get it out before the end of the year.
Fair play.
So that's an interesting one. So if they would do that, but I think maybe we'll at some point the episodes will be closer. But yeah, so maybe they've gone back and they are tweaking some of the engine. Maybe we're going to get a bit of an update to the engine at the same time as we're going to get episode 2. But episode 2 will be coming out on, like I say, it will be coming out in September 16th.
It's what I love about you. You're just so optimistic.
Absolutely, I just ever live in hope that I'll fire up a Telltale game and it will be amazing. That game could be, lovely segue, that game could be a Walking Dead, The New Frontier. So season 3, if you will, of The Walking Dead will be released, and it's going to premiere this November. So A New Frontier will be starting its 5-episode run in November. It's set I think 4 years after the outbreak events of episode 1 of season 1, episode 1. So we've got a 4 years. So now Clementine, who is the main character, is now kind of a teenager. So we expect a lot of stroppiness and going to her room and shutting the door.
I hate you all.
I just don't hire you anymore. My friends are zombies now. So
they understand me.
Yeah, I love those zombies. So that's coming. That's coming in November. So they've put out some Telltale. I'll put a link in the show notes. They put out some screenshots showing Clementine, an older Clementine, and also will be a new character called Javier as well, who is a man struggling to keep his family together in this new world. So you'll be playing as both Clementine and Javier as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, they seem to be getting their schedules, like pushing them out, I think, because they're still going with the Minecraft one as well, isn't it, as well, at the same time? They've still got a few in the pipeline. Yes,
absolutely. Minecraft, I think, is because they extended Minecraft, because originally it was 5 episodes, and then they've added another 3 episodes onto that. That's the only Telltale game since The Walking Dead that I haven't got into. I played the first episode, and then I never really got back into that. But they've extended that by another 3 episodes. There's still a Marvel one that we have in the works. And I believe there's also a couple more that they've been rumbling. So there's also a TV franchise as well that I don't think we haven't got any firm details on that, but we at least have another 2 or 3 games in the making, and I really hope that we get another Wolf Among Us as well, because that was kind of one of my favourites, and of course Borderlands.
Yeah, I've still got Wolf Among Us on the hard drive waiting to play, because Ali read all the Fable books, and it's just waiting for a time and opportunity to actually remember we've got it there. So maybe that's it. Maybe with Overcooked out the way, that's what we should try.
Yes. So how do you play them with the two of you? Because obviously it's got to be quite quick, hasn't it? The decisions have got to be quick.
Well, we haven't actually played a Telltale game together. I think we tried to actually do The Walking Dead, because we both liked the comics, we both liked the first series. So I said, let's try and do this. And I think it was a bad choice, because that first episode of the first series of Walking Dead was quite action orientated, and I think that put Ali off. So I'd probably hand Ali the controller on this one, and we'd try and go through it together. Maybe like what is the character we're playing, and then at least if we took it in turns, we could try and get the right choices together. Yeah, but that might be an interesting experiment.
Absolutely, because you play as Big B, who is so you can play as Big B. So absolutely, so you could just switch maybe episodes or something like that. But it's the Wolf Among Us is just absolutely fantastic. I'm the same as Ali. I love the Fables graphic novels. I did read them episodically. I read the graphic novels rather than the weeklies, and they're just so amazing. So when this was announced and when it came out, I was just so happy, and it plays just as you want it to play. It is a very good realization of the world. So I would love another one of those to come out, because there's plenty of story material to choose from the Fable series.
And speaking of a rich and deep story to draw from, Hello Kitty is joining the world of Animal Crossing. It's not her, she herself isn't actually moving into the Animal Crossing village itself, but using the Animal Crossing amiibo cards, there will now be furniture branded with a tiny feline's face that you can put into your house. And what struck me about this, because I haven't actually tried the Animal Crossing Happy Homes Academy yet, was that this is Nintendo signing up for another cross-promotional deal, because they seem to have been going to town recently, or at least relatively recently with these, because they had Mercedes in Mario Kart, didn't they? You could basically drive around what would look like it wouldn't be out of place in Toys R Us, one of those oversized cars that you stick your toddlers in. And also in Mario Maker, there seem to be loads of guest little character sprites coming into the game itself there. So it's like Nintendo are really up for some cross-brand promotional stuff at this point in time.
Which is really good to see from, I think as we were talking about last week, a fresh Nintendo that allows that, because before they have been very protective.
Yes, yeah. But you're going to get them as specially branded Animal Crossing amiibo cards, but it looks like these will only be available in Japan and will feature Hello Kitty and her frog, puppy, and dog in a beret friends, as my list says. I don't have the name. Kero Karopi. Apologies for bastardizing any of these. A frog. You have Cinema Roll, a puppy, and Pom Pom Purin, which is a dog in a berry. Which
nice,
they all sound
fancy,
adorable. But yeah, so, as a little footnote as well, they have also said that will be an Animal Crossing Nintendo Direct due around November time.
Ooh.
So maybe we'll hear more of the plans of what they're going to do with Animal Crossing going forward. Is there going to be an NX version? Is there going to we know there's going to be a mobile game, so I hope they spill the beans on what that is, because that's the one thing that it's tempting Ali to try and draw her away from her current phone contract. I think when and wherever this Animal Crossing game ends up, she'll be getting a phone that can play it.
Right. Excellent. I didn't know that there was an Animal Crossing centric direct. That's fantastic. That'd be really interesting, because they did say in the last one that there was going to be an update. So does this Hello Kitty crossover, does that come with the update, or is that just available, like I say, just in Japan at the moment? I
assume it's as part of the update, because if they're launching the amiibo cards, I guess it doesn't. It wouldn't force you to do another download if you've got those cards, so it must just be in one of the latest updates they're going to push out into it. Because I think every time they release a new... Actually, this is the first time that Animal Crossing will have the amiibo card functionality coming up soon, so I guess it's just one big mega update that it's all tied into.
Oh, fantastic. You can expect, if those cards are not available in the US and the UK, you can expect them going for kind of quite hefty prices on eBay if they're...
Because I've never actually looked at an amiibo card either. I don't know if it's like a QR code or if it's got a tiny chip in it, so I'm not quite sure how they actually work.
Oh, yeah, because if it's a QR code, you could just share it online, which was similar to Viva Pinata back in the day.
Trendsetters, blazing a trail we were.
That was it. Oh, I got an Xbox camera for that. Because there was what was the website? Was it Pinata Island?
Yeah, pinataisland.info. I don't know. I think the wiki still exists, but I think the forum's down. And
they always used to share stuff on there, so you could get like a very fancy looking fudge hog or something like that as a QR code. So that was always good fun. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to see if it's that or if it is a chip.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Well, next piece of news is with me, and this is back over onto Xbox. And this week, Major Nelson and Co. announced that there's going to be a new update for Xbox One. It's currently rolling out to preview members. I checked my Xbox just before I came on the show, and I haven't got it just yet, but it is coming. And some of the great features. I listened to a podcast, and again, I'll stick a link to the in the show notes so you can get straight to it. But they went through the features, the main features that we're going to get from this new update, and they're quite funky, they're quite interesting, and a great addition to the Xbox. So what we're going to be getting is we're going to be getting clubs. And I'll go into each one of these a little bit more. We're going to be getting clubs, something called LFG, which is look for groups, and we're also going to get arena and achievements as well, has been given a little bit of an update. So clubs is just like that. It's a bit like the PlayStation 4 communities. It's a way that you can create clubs around anything. So it could be about Viva Pinata, it could be Gamers of Lost Spark, it could be the Bake Off, we could have fellow Bake Off bakers, and we could play Halo, and we could talk about Batter Week. So you can
very
have
niche
clubs.
Stuff, I like it, yes.
Indeed, that's it. That's all I care about, those four things. And so you have that, so you can create your clubs, like I say, very similar to the communities over on the PlayStation 4. So you can create those, they will show up, they show up in the community tab on your Xbox One. They also show in your profile. If they are public clubs, they will show in your profile. So you can have public clubs, you can have private clubs as well, and you can also just have general kind of join. You can have people you can nominate admins for clubs, and you can just do all of the functionality you would expect. So you can send a message to everybody in your club to maybe say we're playing a bit of Division or we're playing a bit of Halo this evening. So you can then just invite the entire club, whoever has turned up. You can invite them all into a party, straight into a game. You can leave messages and just really kind of just a real community around that Xbox One club. So I think this is just absolutely fantastic. You can probably be expecting a lot of piratey based ones for when a certain game comes out as well. So yeah, that's just going to be absolutely fantastic. So this is clubs on Xbox Live, and like I say, the if you're in the preview program, I think they've shut the preview program now for a while because they've got a lot of entrants. But if you're in the preview program, it's coming very soon. So one of the screenshots they showed about clubs was a Team Super Rocket. So it was a Rocket League, and they were basically saying that the kind of criteria for this club was, and these all appear as if they're search terms or as if they're tags to that club. It was mic is required, a good one for me. Mic is required, no trash talking, competitive, and play for fun. And you could even say I only want newbies, so you can just destroy them, James. So you can set criteria. So if I'm sitting there going, okay, I really want to play Halo. I'd like to join a club with Halo. I want people that are just mics. Again, the big thing for me, I would love to just start having mic only clubs where people are on mics, and you can really kind of get a real good game going with a real good laugh. So you can set those criteria and make your group or your club public, and then you can just publish it, and then people will be able to find it using those search terms that you've placed in your club.
I think this is cool. I think there's quite a few times, especially if you've been like trying to either find a regular group for things like Rocket League, or especially if you're trying to hunt down, I think, certain achievements, this thing is invaluable for going back to that the pinata thing that we mentioned, like looking for the famous pinata. If there was a way you could flag up the fact that you could join a garden to get that last achievement on it, that would be superb in there. But I hope that it extends the functionality beyond the dashboard as well, because if you've got a group of people together, and I think this is one reason why I don't necessarily use the PlayStation group that much, is you want some functionality beyond the dashboard, because typing on the dashboard isn't that easy. So I hope the apps get updated with this functionality as well, so you can stay in touch with your group, communicate through your phone, through the websites or so I think it needs that little bit extra of communication. But yeah, I might turn on the preview program again and see what I get.
Absolutely. They did say in the blog post, they did say that this is rolling out on Xbox One. It will be coming to PC, and it will also be coming to the Xbox app as well, fantastic, on your Android and iOS devices as well.
So slowly
to see that. Indeed, I think right now they're just trying to hone it and focus it on the Xbox One for the preview members. Now, the other thing that you were talking about there, about looking for an achievement, that is looking for groups. So that's the other functionality that they brought out, where you can, if you're trying to get that one achievement, you want someone, so like me, I've never done a raid in Destiny because I could never get a group of people together. So I could say, right, I want to do Trials of Osiris, I want to do that raid, I want mics on, we're all this level. When you click on that achievement, you can then say, I want to start looking for that group. So you can click on that achievement that you haven't got, and then you can say, right, I want this, and it starts filling out those meta tags for you. So it says, right, you need this. I might need a certain Destiny player. I might need a different character to me. So you can then say, right, I need that. I want mics. You have to be on mic, and we're all trying to get this achievement. So people could then say, if you were feeling generous, you could help someone to get that achievement, or you can all together, just go in and go for that achievement. And when it pops, you just leave all those people. Where with groups, with the clubs, you're joining a club, so you're joining the Lost Spark Club, and you kind of with all of the benefits so that comes. But with looking for groups, you are just right. Do you know what? This evening, my brother-in-law is one. He would look at the achievements and go, "I'm going to go for that." I want to get that. I want to get that multiplayer achievement in Gears of War. You can just say, right, I would like to find anyone who is about right now who wants to get that achievement with me. I need 5 people, and we all need to jump in and get that achievement. We're going to do the horde to level 50. So this is called looking for groups, and it allows you to just browse these open groups. You say, right, I'm looking for this evening, I need another 4 people, and then off you go. And then once you've got your group, you can just say, let's go. Or you can set a start to say, I'm putting out my flag, I'm putting out my ping now, but we're going to do this on Saturday night. Cool. So it's just really good. So this LFG, or looking for groups, again, is another functionality that's going to appear on the community tab.
Yeah, that's grand.
It's really nice to just be able to to look for that and to be able to jump into that and really bring kind of gamers closer together, because a lot of people, they just see online gaming as Call of Duty, or you go on there and people just say really bad things about your mum, but it's not that. That's not what online gaming is about, and it's definitely not what online gaming was about when I first started playing on my 360, or even before when I was playing on my Xbox. I remember, like, every game on my 360, you would come away with someone else on your friends list, because it was just nice. Everyone was nice to everybody, and it was a really nice environment. So this is what you're doing. I think one of the guys on a podcast I listened to, he's always said that he would pay a premium to be in almost a different area of Xbox Live to maybe those. Yeah, absolutely. Or maybe a grown-up area. And I would happily, and this, I think, does that, because you can say, right, I just want to play with these guys tonight, and you would be able to put together a Star Wars Battlefront crew quite quickly, and jump in to looking for groups. So the next piece of the next thing of this update is the gamer score leaderboard. A lot of people still care about achievements. I was more into achievements, I think, when it first started. I was the real achievement hunter, and I really enjoyed the race for that.
Yes.
So the achievements tab that's on the board, that's getting a little bit of an update, getting a little bit of a refresh. Instead of that rolling 30 days, it's now doing it by month. So you can see who was highest in achievements in April, in May, in June, rather than losing it after that kind of rolling 30 days.
Cool. Yeah, I always pay attention to that when I've been on a good run, because I don't pay attention to achievements as much as I used to. I can remember at work there was a proper race to be the first to 10k, but then as time's gone by, I think I've only got 10k in the last 3 years. Because I only go for ones that I now really enjoy. So, like Inside, I made sure I went back and got all the 1,000 on there. I tried to do it on Rocket League before I got a glitch as well. But it's like only the games I really care about I will spend that time for.
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly it, isn't it? I see sometimes 1,000 is a sign of appreciation, especially for an indie game. You know, it's like I've played your game, I've got 1,000 because I really kind of went in. Some games I find the 1,000 is just unachievable because there's some strange multiplayer or there's some strange single player that you have to kind of grind, or they don't make it natural inside the game. Like when you have to get 1,000 of something, it would be really good if there was a counter inside there, which I know Xbox kind of gives you that now. It lets you know the percentage that you're up to in the achievement. So if you have to win 20 games of Rocket League, you have a look at the achievements, you pop out, have a look at the achievements, and they'll actually show you, I think, as a little white progress bar of the progress that you've made in that gaming session. So there's that. There was also something that I think I'm forgetting about achievement rarity as well. Ooh, cool. And it will, so as you get an achievement, it will go ping, and it will tell you that you have a rare achievement. And obviously, as more people start getting it, the rarity of that achievement drops down. But one of the things I really love at the moment is that when you finish a game like Overcooked, and you go in, you can then see a complete leaderboard of all your friends that have played Overcooked. So you can then start seeing maybe how many onions you've chopped, how many are they again, it's down to the devs to do this, but it's really nice just to drop there and you can see kind of who's top. Like I may be second for achievements because I wasn't the first one to get 1,000, but I've done more hours because I/Nicola played through it twice. You know, so you can start seeing that breakdown of all of your statistics, and I really like that. You know, when you're looking at games like Forza and things like that, it's really it's such a fantastic, it's a fun thing to do because you can start kind of ribbing your friends to say that, you know, you chopped more onions or you cleaned more plates.
See, I'm now looking at the onions chopped on the Windows dashboard, and yes, your wife has got you to number 1 in the leaderboard. You have chopped 842 onions.
There you go.
Swiftly followed by Nicola herself with 372.
Yeah.
I'm lacking somewhere behind with 198, but...
Right. So it's just really good, isn't it? You start seeing like people playing those games, and it's just good fun. It's just really good fun. So I really like the achievements, and like I say, they're improving those and improving the achievement guide. And then the last thing for this update, it had to happen. We're getting emojis coming to the Xbox One Virtual Keyboard.
Oh dear God!
Smiley face, chilly, dancing
now,
lady.
Used in proportion, I think emojis are wonderful. However, I know certain people who seem to only tweet in emojis, and there's a certain limit that I can have before wanting to block every person around. So I'm not quite sure where you'd use them unless you're on Twitter or so, because I don't actually use the social feeds that much on the dashboard itself.
Right. No, I think mine at the moment has started to get cluttered, where when you start playing a game, I think the game automatically becomes part of your social feed. So like Overcooked is jumping in there and other things like that. So it started to get a little bit cluttered, and you're missing maybe, I think I've only ever put a couple of messages up there, but one of the other updates that's coming to this, it's an update that keeps giving, is group chat as well. So again, group chat that will go over to your mobile phone as well, so you can then start having those, probably similar to like a Twitter chat or a WhatsApp chat. You can then start having that group chat on your Xbox as well. Cool. So it's just another place to spam people. And now you can also include emojis as well.
I'll unfollow you all.
Yeah, exactly. All we need is animated GIFs, and I'll be happy as Larry.
So I think one of my favourite things throughout all of that update, though, is the rarity of the achievement, because it's what I love about the trophies, just seeing how many other people have got that trophy as well as you. So when you actually find one that is ultra rare, or even just like you're in a very small percentage of it, there's something really satisfying about seeing that pop. I think it adds a certain extra level of kudos to that trophy at the time.
Absolutely. I think the end of the blog post from MajorNelson.com said, stay tuned for more details about Arenas, which is that multiplayer almost a club, and additional features like achievement rarity. Ever wondered how truly epic an achievement was and that you earned? And they're going to continue to bring more features to this preview as they march on towards the holiday update. So the preview members are going to get, that's going to evolve. So we're going to get that rarity. We're going to get, there may even be a different toast, if I was listening right to Major. There may be a different toast if it's a rare achievement. So maybe, I'm not sure. I like the idea of them messing around with that sound, because that sound is gorgeous. That pop of an achievement is just it just makes everything better. There's nothing better than that pop, and then the pop, and then the chuckle at the cleverly worded achievement. So, get me away from this, James. I could talk about achievements for ages. The final piece of news is with you.
Yep, a final piece is that Firewatch is coming to Xbox One. I think we both played Firewatch earlier this year and really enjoyed it.
Yes.
So it's, but what is Firewatch? So Firewatch was it was the story of a man going out into the middle of nowhere to take up his post in the middle of a national park to check for fires. He was watching for fires. But it's another, if you want to call it that, bracket of walking simulators or story-driven games, and I really enjoyed it. It's got this lovely style to it, this lovely visual effect to it that makes everything look very, very bold, very colourful. Like, it really shows up like the sunsets and everything. But it's coming with extras as well. So not only is Firewatch coming over, but it's coming with an extra audio tour. It's coming with like extra bits of museum pieces, as they describe, and there's also a free roam mode. So they've added an audio tour where the developer will give you snippets from the development process. I think a mixture between useful stories, maybe gaffes that happened inside the studio, but it's also part of the game, so you actually have to try and hunt down these audio tours by the sound of things. And you've also got a free roam mode where they also promise further hidden secrets. So I'm half tempted, because Firewatch isn't the longest game in the world, to actually get this and replay it, if only just for the director's commentary on it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, this game is absolutely stunning. You know, the visual styling of Ollie Moss just really came across in this game, and everything from the chunkiness of the protagonist to the just the surrounding environments were just absolutely superb. It was a stunning game to play, and I think it was probably about 4 or 5 hours long. So I'd happily jump in again. I think I've even forgot. I'll probably remember once I start playing, but I'd happily jump in again and just kind of, again, get those achievements. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. I love the addition. I love the extras. I love that it's coming over, and that we're getting those kind of extra things. And the free roaming mode would be such a great addition.
Yeah, because it's not only the fact they have hidden little bits and pieces again across the environment, but you've got the full day-night cycle, because in the original game, I think it was always very set, wasn't it? You were always either out wandering at dawn or at dusk, so they could really show off a certain lighting effect for the mood of the story. But yeah, just the idea of effectively camping out under the stars. Yeah, let's do it again.
Yes. So have they announced, with that announcement, did they say that those features were going to be patched into the PlayStation 4, or is that just Campo Santo doing that for the Xbox only?
I am quickly clicking on the link to read out and talking slowly while I read it. They
probably didn't say, because it's probably an Xbox-related launch, so they're not going to mention that other console.
Yeah, it sounds like this is, at least, I would be shocked and surprised if it didn't eventually come to the PlayStation, even if there's a small window of exclusivity for it, because, well, it's going to Xbox, so more than likely the work has been done in a common code base, so off it goes as a free update.
That's just fantastic. It's really nice to see that. It's really nice to see that these games are kind of, I mean, so far we've had The Witness as coming from PlayStation to Xbox. Now we've got Firewatch is doing that. And then we've also, what exclusive? We had an Xbox exclusive, didn't we, as well, that's going over to PlayStation 4 that we were talking about last week.
Yes.
Yes, and then we've got, obviously, you've got Lara Croft as well. So it's really nice that if you are just a gamer that only has one console, and as a majority of them are, I think, I always remind myself how spoiled I am to kind of have both those consoles. But it's really nice to see these, because sometimes you play Firewatch and you just really want people that on Xbox to be able to experience this game, because it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the more that goes back and forth, the better it all is.
Indeed. And on that note, that's about it for this episode. Big thank you, James.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me again.
You now have a hat trick of consecutives. That's an achievement unlocked. Oh, if only I could put that sound right there. I might try that. Don't forget, you can keep up with us at gamersoflostspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook, on Twitter. We're at Lost Spark Pod. You can find us on YouTube and also the Gamers of Lost Spark community. Maybe soon to an Xbox club as well. James, where can people catch up with you?
I am Big Sheep, all one word, on Twitter, Xbox Live, PSN and Nintendo.
Perfect, fantastic. For me, I am Chessman on Xbox Live. I'm PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, and I'm Chessman UK on Twitter and Nintendo. If you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That's feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. Also, if you're feeling generous, please leave us a review on iTunes. That's about it, so we'll catch you next week. Thanks very much. Bye.
Bye.